What's good, my pack? Let me hear that howl. How's everybody doing? It is Thursday. And we are here to deliver some Patreon requests. As always, once again, thank you. Shouts out to everybody, the Patreons. You are Uber Pack members. For continuing your contributions to the Patreon and continuing to deliver, especially if you are a beta level member. This is a request from Tariq, Black Jester, Tariq, who has asked me to do list 10 video games that could use a sequel or reboot. Well, Tariq, I'm giving you 10. You said 10. I'm going to give you 10, but I'm also going to add 2 more too. So you're going to get 2 more. So let's start this off. So number 1 on the list is Parasite Eve. If you've never played Parasite Eve, I recommend it, especially if you're an RPG fan. For those who don't know, Parasite Eve came out back in 1999. It's an old one, but it focused on a New York City cop called Andrea. Andrea. And in there, she is going up against a woman called Eve, who basically can spontaneously combust you. And it has to do with a lot of your mitochondria and everything like that. So she creates things as well. Like she's trying to create this ultimate being. There was 3 games, and the last game came out for the PSP. Yeah. But with all of Square Enix games, we've seen, a lot of, besides Final Fantasy got the remake and all this. I would not mind a fresh reboot, coat of paint for Parasite Eve, especially for people who don't know this game. And so that's why Parasite Eve makes the list. It's a good game. The music is great too. If you've never Google it or look it up on YouTube, there's people who got gameplay of it or just trailers. It's beautiful. It's a really, really beautiful game. Parasite Eve. Number 2 on the list, we're gonna go with Namco Bandai, Dead to Rights. Dead to Rights was an action-adventure game starring a character called Jack Slade and his partner. He's a cop in a fictional city called Grant City, and his partner is his dog Shadow, who is half wolf dog, I believe. Yeah, he's half wolf dog. And it's like a lot of different. It's kind of based around like John Woo-ish kind of style of action, where everything kind of quick time, slow motion, and bullet frame and things like that. I don't like the fact that Namco hasn't done more action adventure games anymore. Now Namco Bandai usually just stick to Tekken or the Naruto games, all those things. I would love to see a fresh coat of paint of this series. This is another series that had 3 sequels. And it's 3 games in general. But the last 2 games were more like prequels. They weren't sequels. They were prequels of when Jack was a rookie cop and how he got Shadow and all this other stuff. But I would love it came out in 2002. June 3rd, 2002. So it's up there too. It's pretty, it's like, yeah. So yes, Dead to Rights 2. Next on the list we go to is Midnight Club. Anybody out there like racing games and things like that? I hope you do. You know, Midnight Club was one of them. Midnight Club was one of those games that was based on, you know, street racing, but it was based on themes that was going on in Japan at that time. And it was really cool. The music was great. I mean, Midnight Club, which one? I think it was the last one they did was LA. Had probably some of the great music in there. I know there are people that like racing games and know that they want more than just a Gran Turismo style type game or something like that. Midnight Club was that. And I miss the old games, racing games, where it didn't really focus on, oh, you gotta get your G license to get this car and all that. No, you know, I do miss that. The last Midnight Club came out in 2004. Made sure, yeah. So yes, Midnight Club makes the list. Number 4 on the list. This one may surprise a lot of you. But you remember back in the day, Sony had a series. Each game had the word outlaw in it. Outlaw tennis, outlaw soccer, or volleyball. I love those games. Those games were fun. I would love to see them reboot the Outlaw Sports games, where they had the overabundance of characters. They all had their different personalities. It was funny. It could get a little crazy at times. Some characters are really stereotyped, but especially in this day and age, you gotta kind of fix that. But the Outlaw series was just fun to me. I loved it. I think I still have 2 of them, but I'd love to see this franchise get a reboot again. It was fun. So I think Sony created them, I believe. But yeah, it was tennis, golf, volleyball, all those. They were just fun. They were just so much fun to play. Very much indeed. The Outlaw Sports series, guys. Number 5 on the list, we go to fighting games. All my fellow fighting games. It is a great year to be a fighting game fan, especially the end of the year. We have Street Fighter 6 that's out. We got Mortal Kombat that's coming in September. October we're getting Tekken 8. 3 of the kings of fighters, no pun intended, have new games coming out. And then of course there's a new Fatal Fury coming out. So yes, great abundance of games. But there's one fighting game on there that, well, there's a lot, but one fighting game I feel needs that reboot. Bloody Raw. The Bloody Raw series. When was the last Bloody Raw game? Let that sink in. I think the last one was like 2005 or 4. I missed that game. I missed that series. It was a fun series. One of my favorites was Yugo the Wolf. It was great, and of course he was the tiger. He can morph into the tiger. Bak Ryu, he was the ninja that can morph into a mole. You had Gillet, he was a lion. His daughter was a leopard. Like all this, it was great, and I would love to see them reboot that for a new generation to understand what many of us are like. Man, why don't they bring out a new Bloody Raw? Number 6 on the list we go to is Bully. Reboot? No. Sequel? Yes. It could go both ways. I thought Rockstar would have made a sequel to this. I don't care if it doesn't have Jimmy Hopkins in it. It now takes place in a new school with a new character. Great. That would be good. Keep the trend going, in my opinion. Is it too late to do a sequel or reboot? No. Nothing is too late. I miss I miss Bully. I loved Bully. I thought Bully was great. Seeing this kid, and he goes to this boarding school somewhere up in New England, and he gets to see the different cliques in the school. You had the preps, the preppies they came from money. You had the geeks that looked very stereotyped. You had the jocks who were big, muscular guys. You had the greasers that looked like they coming straight out of the 50s, looking like Fonzie and stuff like that. But it was fun. It was a fun game, and it was different than, it was open world, but it was different than GTA because, for one, Jimmy couldn't stay out late, no later than 2 o'clock in the morning, because if he goes past that, he passes out. So you had to go to school, you had to go to class, all that stuff. It was fun. It was a fun game, and I wish Rockstar continued that with a sequel. So that's why it's on the list. Number 7 on the list we go to is a game that became a cult classic. It didn't sell well in Japan, but it became a cult classic. And maybe if somebody gained the rights to it, they can reboot it. God Hand. Y'all remember God Hand? I sure do. I like God Hand. I thought it was fun. I liked the idea. It mixed in so many different animes and action. It had the comedy based into it. It was like Kung Fu Hustle mixed with Fist of the North Star and things like that. It was fun. It was a fun game. It didn't take itself seriously at times, but it was so much fun. You played with Gene, who got his arm basically cut off, and then it got replaced with it got replaced, and it was the God Hand, and when he powered it up, he could do all these super crazy things with it. It was fun. It was an beat 'em up game. You go around and you fight the bad guys, everything like that. And while there was a person that had the God Hand, which was Gene, there was someone who had the Devil Hand, which you would fight in the game. It was fun. The action was great. The comedy, it was just so much fun. And I would love to see a sequel or a reboot in the same. But I think Clover Studios, which was they who developed it, that was their last game. And remember, Capcom only distributed it. They don't own it. So, but I would love to see a reboot, or mostly a reboot. God Hand. Number 8, guys, is on the list just more for nostalgia purposes, because I go way back with this game. Okay, I go way back with it because it came out around my time, my era. It never got a reboot or a sequel, and to me it's a classic Nintendo game. Yeah, it is a Nintendo, and to me it is Excitebike. I remember, to all my fellow gamers, especially my children in the 80s, y'all know this game. Excitebike was a fun little bike simulator game that at that point in time, it was different because the graphics wasn't that good, but you could build your own level of dirt bike ramps in the game, and you could play it. It had this really weird noise, and then if you could burn up like, and your car would, your motorcycle, your dirt bike would overheat, and it would go and then you gotta calm it down before you drive on. But it was fun. An up-to-date reboot or sequel to it for the next gen of Nintendo games would be great. We see they do pay homage to Excitebike in video games, and their latest video games, like especially in, I believe, Super Mario Kart. They'll have like an Excitebike level or something like that, but a real Excitebike reboot would be perfect. Just saying. Number 9 is something that a lot of Nintendo fans, and I was just talking about this, my brother and I were just talking about it, and he's due for a sequel or a goddamn reboot. And I don't know what Nintendo's problem is and why, but F-Zero, Captain Falcon, what the fuck? Excuse my language, I was trying not to curse in this, but what the fuck? Why is it that the only place we can see Captain Falcon is Smash Brothers? He has not had a legit game since 2011, I believe. That is crazy. Why? Why is that? F-Zero needs a reboot, a sequel, or a requel, or something to give the F-Zero fans something to be proud of. Because I know there are a lot of F-Zero fans out there that are always saying, how come Nintendo's not giving, what's wrong with them? Oh, they only put them in Smash Brothers. They don't give them no kind of other games. Why? Why? I can agree with that. Come on, Nintendo. We need a new F-Zero. Captain Falcon needs more respect put on his name, or I'll Falcon punch you, you bastards. Number 10 on the list. This is another one that I couldn't remember. When I was putting this list together, I'm like, what is that game called? And then my brother kind of reminded me of it. And it's a shocker that this never got a reboot or a sequel. Mainly, it should get a reboot, an up-to-date reboot or so. Comic Zone. With the success of the comic book movies and things like that, and video games to a degree, and a lot, why hasn't Comic Zone gotten a goddamn reboot or new game? It is perfectly right to have that now, especially in the time that we're living. Comic Zone was a cool game from Sega back in the day. Came out in the late 90s, right before the Genesis died. It starred a character. He was a comic book creator, and he's writing his comic, and during a thunderstorm, he was from New York, and eventually he gets the villain of his comic literally comes out of his comic and brings him into his own comic book world. So he's literally in his comic. Have we seen this storytelling before? Yes, but it was so cool to see that. And you go throughout his comic trying to get out. Now, he had a pet rat that would help him, so his rat had like superpowers in the comic book universe. But it was so cool. It was a fun game. He knew martial arts and everything like that. So it was just, I think his name was Tanner, I believe. I can't remember, but you can look it up on YouTube. You can put in Comic Zone, you'll see it. They said, come on, check 1, check 2. There you go. It was fun. It was a fun game. It's always in Genesis compilation games, but no remake, no new game. It should get one. It'd be cool. Just saying. Number 11. I had to include this because it's for my brother, but more importantly, he kind of reminded me of it too, because I was gonna go 10, but I was just like, I can't do 10. There's so many, but gotta do this for him. For anybody out there who also is a fan of this character, Capcom. Yo, Capcom, my dudes, how you doing? How you doing? It is time to bring a new game for this character, because there are people that like this character. His name is Beautiful Joe. Henshin a Go-Go, baby. What's going on, man? Huh? Either give him a sequel or reboot the character. Everybody loved that game. He's another one that's always included in the fighting game, the Capcom versus series or something like that, but never with a new game. Come on, let's go. My brother loved that. I remember the first time my brother got that game for the GameCube. He loved it. He loved it so much, and I enjoyed watching him play it. And I played it too. I liked it too. And of course, it gained such popularity. It became an anime, and the anime was pretty fun. But you know, Captain Blue Jr., Sulia, his girlfriend Joe was cool. Henshin a go-go, baby. Let's go. Beautiful Joe. And last but not least, the last one on the list. This one is for other fellow fans of this game too. This is an RPG game from back in the day, created by Sony Entertainment. Back, I believe it came out, remembering 1999. I think it was developed in 97, but came out in 1999. The game is called Legend of Dragoon. We all love Final Fantasy, correct? If you do, thank you. I love Final Fantasy. But there were other great RPG games out during that time with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 and all those games. Legends of Dragoon was one of them. I loved the game. It was so much fun. It's based in a very high fantasy world where you play as Dart. Dart. He was the main character who takes a group of warriors, ragtag group of warriors, to save the world. It was so much fun. It had cinematic, quick time events and things like that that made it so cool. And I gotta get that back. That's a classic game I definitely want to get back. I probably gotta go on eBay or somewhere and try to find an auction to get it. I've done it before. I've done and gotten classic games back on eBay, I'm scared I was gonna pay a bundle for it, and I only paid like some $90 for some of them. But yes, Legend of Dragoon is the last. Well, there you go, Tariq Black Jester. There you go, your list. I know you said you wanted 10. I added 2 more to the list. I apologize. It just felt right. It's hard when you do a list, and sometimes they say, oh, you only do 10. It's hard to kind of just get 10. There are so many games that never got sequels or anything like that just fluttered in the breeze. And as a gamer myself, I want to see some of these classic games come back. And that is the point, and that is what irritates me sometimes, is like, especially with some of these companies, it's like Capcom is one of them. Yes, Street Fighter sells, Resident Evil sells, but Capcom, I remember you guys saying you want to get that title back as the king of fighting games. Well, you want that back? Then you gotta put out the other games. I'm just saying, back in the day, you guys had 6 to 7 fighting game franchises out at the same time. We need a new Darkstalkers. I didn't put that on the list because that was just too easy to go to. We need a new Rival Schools, Star Gladiator, okay? Red Dawn. You know, there's so many other fighting games you can do. I know, I love Street Fighter to death. It's one of my favorite fighting game franchises, yes. But y'all want that title back? Let's go. Rockstar. GTA ain't your only game, baby. Let's go. You got other options. There are people out there that want these sequels. Let's go. Hope you guys enjoyed the list. I will see you guys next time. Thank you, Black Jester. Thank you, Tariq. That is another one of your requests. I think I have one more left for you, and I'm waiting for the next run request. But outside of that, guys, you guys take care. And if you want to do this, the link in the description for the Patreon is in the description down below. You want to become a pack member, an Uber pack member, by all means. I'm not forcing you to do it, but by all means, join. And other than that,